Okay, so today we're going to be working on mollusks. We have a couple categories. We have squid, which is a cephalopod, but still in the category of mollusk. We have clams and we have oysters, which are bivalves, but they're still mollusks. One of the important things with your bivalves is there's a 90-day shell stock tag that has to be kept in your files for 90 days for the health department to look at. They're both filter feeders, and if they've ingested a virus or something that make people sick, we have to be able to go back and check the beds and see where that's coming from. So this has to be on, by the health department's rules, has to be on file for 90 days. These are California squid. The parts of the squid: the head, the eyes, tentacles, this is the tube, and then the wings. And what we're going to do to prepare this and clean this up, first we're going to pull the head out, try to get it straight out, or it's going to break on you. Okay, get that out. We want to pull the quill out, which is a hard plastic looking piece. And we'll also get the rest of the fat and whatever else that the squid has eaten out. There's a little minnow. Okay. That'll be trash. We're going to cut behind or under the eyes here, right above the mouth. We'll squeeze out the beak, which is right here, their mouth. And just clean up the tentacles a little bit. So the tentacles we'll save. I like to personally cut these longer ones off. I think customers have a little problem eating those. There's the tentacles. Now for the tube, we want to pull the wings off. You can cut them off. I think they come off more neatly if we go ahead and pull them off. Use a towel or something to grab them and pull. Get the other side here. Pull those off. Grab. These can be used for a saute or something. I tend not to use them. And then we have the outer skin here that has to come off. And we just pull that off, waste pile. Just gonna make sure we've got anything on the inside out. We'll also rinse this out real well. Just a second, and that'll be what we're looking for. The tube and the tentacles cleaned up. Might square this off a little bit. So if we're doing calamari rings for fried calamari, you just want to cut your rings between 1/4 inch and 1/2 inch thick. That'll be what we fry up. Okay, and that's it. Now clams, bivalve, remember they're still alive, so they're going to put up a fight to get open. What I like to do is, if you look at the shell, you see there's an indentation, there's a hinge back here. This indentation I put in the web of my hand. Take my clam knife, I look for the split in the shell, and then just squeeze through. Doesn't always work that easily, but. And then you have the adductor muscles. You want to scrape the adductor muscles down into the shell and scrape the bottom. If somebody's eating raw clams, they don't want it to get caught halfway down because we didn't cut it loose. Okay. So, now your clams ready to serve. Next we'll go to the oysters. A little bit different. The oysters we're going to go through. If you look at an oyster, it has two sides. Typically a deep side of the shell and a shallow side of the shell. We'll leave the oyster in the deep side of the shell, so we retain the oyster liqueur or the juices that are from the oyster. With oysters, they're very sharp, rigid. Clams grow in sand, so they're not so bad. Oysters mostly in mud and muck, so you want to make sure you don't cut yourself on that. So what we're going to do is we'll take our oyster, hinge side out, cover it, The oyster knife you see is a little more rigid, a little point. We want to go into the hinge and kind of wiggle it in and then twist it and pop it. Okay, and I usually wipe off the tip of my oyster knife on a towel so we don't get that in there, so we don't have grit inside. Cut the adductor muscle loose, and there's our oyster. And that's oysters and clams.